الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله وسبحان الله أؤمن به وأستعينه وأستهديه وأستجيره وأستنصره فإنه من هدى الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. أما بعد، يا رب إني أتوكل عليك. Allah here in صيغة الربوبية, or in the form of the call to Ar-Rabb. Ar-Rabb, the word that is rooted in Rababa, or the upkeeper, the caretaker, often from a fatherly or by definition, a connotation of mercy and compassion. فَلَا يُطْلَقُ عَلَى الرَّبِّ إِلَّا مَنْ كَانَ رَحِيمًا عَطُوفًا. So if someone does not have compassion or mercy, they don't deserve the expression Rabb. فَيَا Rabb, I already call upon the Lord who I know to be compassionate, to be merciful, to be caring. I already call upon my Lord who I know I matter to. And in that is a great deal of enlightenment. Because just by understanding Rububiyyah, just by understanding what is Rabb, what is the Lord, the question of do I matter in life, do I count, is there meaning in life, what is it all for, all becomes nonsense. Ya Rabbi inni atawakkalu alayk. I rely on you. But it's of course a prayer that Allah becomes your partner. A prayer that Allah becomes your aid. وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ أَنْ أَضِلُّ أَوْ أُضَلُّ. I call upon you. I not just call upon you, but al-iyaza is to seek refuge, to ask Allah to be an active participant in the goal for which you call Allah. And here you say, أعوذ بك أن أضل أو أضل, that I go astray or be the cause for others to go astray. Again, we repeat often prayers, religious terminology, without allowing them to sink into our hearts in order to have the transformative impact that Kalamatullah should have. And it's often imperative. In fact, it is the foundation of Iman that we pause and we remember what this terminology that we repeat all the time is about and what it means. So, أعوذ بك أن أضل أو أضل. Well, in order not to be led astray, you need a great deal of self-propelling moral compass. In other words, you need a great deal of investment into the compass of the truth, or what is right. أو that I become among those that can be led astray, and that in itself is another investment, is another type of investment, that an investment in which you are not easily carried by the whim of the one time and the current of another. أو أزل أو أذل. I also seek your refuge, my Lord, that I either be degraded or degrade others. Often Islamic prayer carries, Islamic prayers in general, the Dua al-Islami, it is a whole philosophy of life for those who reflect. It is neither acceptable for a Muslim to be a person without dignity, nor is it acceptable for a Muslim to rob others of dignity. What a remarkable balance and challenge. And if the greatest of minds in the world of philosophy pause upon that most challenging equation, أو أذل أو أذل. The first was actually I meant it by ذا المغلظة والثانية by ذال. So the second, that I either I be led astray or lead others astray. أو أظلم أو أظلم, or that I am the source of injustice, I cause injustice, or that I myself become the subject of injustice. أو أجهل أو أستجهل, or that I live in a state of ignorance, or be ignorant, or be treated with ignorance. In this intricate balance, anchored in a truth, but a truth in which you first must know what you are, so that you are neither led astray nor lead others astray. Your ego does not come in to allow you to think of yourself in a capacity that you do not deserve, nor to place yourself in a status that is not yours, in which you refuse to be either a person without dignity nor a person that robs others of dignity. A state in which you are neither, you refuse to be either a subject of injustice nor the perpetuator of injustice. You also refuse and seek in all of this the partnership of Allah, and that's inshallah subject of another khutbah, the partnering with Allah. That Allah becomes actively in your aid, so that you are not yourself ignorant and not be dealt with in ignorance. This formula, it doesn't come simply by كثرة التعبد. It doesn't just simply come by the repeated prayers. Because if the body prays but the heart is not praying with it, then it's just movements. Even if the heart prays but the mind is not actively engaged balancing out the heart, it becomes a form of frivolousness, either ghayy or hawa, either deviation or whimsicalness. But many of the theologians of Islam say, well, this formula, what is the key to it? The key, the purpose, the objective, the aim is السعي وراء الربوبية أن تكونوا عبادا ربانيون, that one becomes part of godliness on earth instead of godlessness on earth. Because earth, the world, existence, you find that Allah has created everything with a remarkable mizan, a remarkable balance. There is light, and then the absence of light becomes darkness. There is movement, and in the absence of movement becomes atrophy. And there is godliness, and the absence of godliness, and all the consequences that follow. And to the extent that you achieve and fulfill this rububiyyah in yourself, the sum total of that reflects the rububiyyah, the godliness instead of the godlessness of your community. So a community that lives in indignity or that inflicts indignity cannot be godly. A community that lives in oppression or inflicts oppression cannot be godly. And a community that lives in ignorance or inflicts ignorance cannot be godly. وأقول كما قال العلماء الله نور السماوات والأرض. We already know that Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. And our aim, our goal, our purpose, the passion of all passion is to be among those, and it's in itself a manifestation in its best form of husn and in its best form of jamal, to be a manifestation of the light of your Lord. And therefore the prayers reported from, not just from the Prophet ﷺ, but from many repeated sources, and I've distilled them into a unified, shortened one. Allahum ij'al fi qalbi nura, make in my heart light. So that's the heart that has God in it. And light, remember, is a state opposite in its nature from darkness. وَاجْعَلْ فِي لِسَانِي نُورًا, and make in my words light. And again, light is a state that is opposite from darkness. وَاجْعَلْ فِي سَمْعِي نُورًا, and make what I hear, and here is what I seek to hear, what I desire to hear, light, and light is opposite of a state of darkness. وَاجْعَلْ فِي بَصَرِي نُورًا, and make in my eyesight light. And again, here we see التمني that it is not that you will suddenly see with X-ray Batman vision. That you will see with an eye that it gravitates towards what is light and what is divine. وَأَعْظِمْ لِي نُورًا, and let my very being emanate with light. وَاجْعَلْ فِي أَهْلِي نُورًا, and make in my family a state of light. وَفِي بَيْتِي نُورًا, in my households light. وَفِي أُمَّتِي نُورًا, and in my nation and my ummah light. وَفِي حَيَاتِي وَوُجُودِي وَوَجْدِي نُورًا, and in my very existence and my very beingness light. Now, what is this light? When we remember that Allah nur samawati wal ard, and that light is a state that is opposite to darkness. What you are, as always, pleading with Allah to make you a part of what Allah cannot be but a state of absolute beauty. God is nothing but what is the utmost beautiful and the utmost pure and the utmost of enlightenment. By definition, if you see darkness, you do not see God. Wherever there is suffering, wherever there is misery, wherever there is injustice, wherever there is oppression, wherever there is inequity, wherever there is arrogance, wherever there is backbiting and hate, wherever there is a lack of gratitude from child to parent, or wherever there is shirk or kufr, a state of ingratitude, a state of confusion about who you are, where you're going, wherever all of that, you do not find God, but you find the opposite. You find instead of rububiyyah, you find in'idam al-rububiyyah, that God is not there. God is there as a physical fact, in meaning that God haqiqatan is there, but ma'na, the name of godliness is not there. In other words, what you see is the absence of what the touch of God does. The touch of God brings light and enlightenment. If you see a human being, and this is a test that all of us must put ourselves before we're confronted to go through it in the hereafter. If your ear seeks to hear, listen to what is ugly, rash, if you like to hear backbiting and stories about people and who married who and who divorced who, if you like to talk about people, putting down this person, talking about that person, degrading that person, if your eyes seeks to look at things that you know you should not be looking at, your eyes are drawn to things that are against what God in God's beauty is, if your heart is not sure about what is just or unjust, if your being doesn't gravitate and is not attracted like gravity to whatever is just and beautiful, then you are missing rububiyyah, you are missing godliness. And by missing godliness, you are missing Islam. Astaghfirullah, yastajib. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين وسبحان الله الذي هدانا لهذا الدين وتمت كلمة ربك صدقا وعدلا كما قال الله في سورة الأنعام ويحق الحق بكلماته كما قال في سورة الأنفال وهل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان كما قال في سورة الرحمن. The word of your Lord is but truth and justice. وتمت كلمة ربك صدقا وعدلا. The word of your Lord is but truth and justice. And truth and justice cannot be light. You cannot see suffering and misery. You cannot see oppression and degradation. You cannot see illness and poverty and attribute it to a state of godliness. It cannot be. وَيَحِقُّ الْحَقَّ بِكَلِمَاتِهِ. And the words of your Lord are there to support what is haqq. The very purpose of the words of your Lord is to aid and support and raise and elevate what is just and right and truthful. And you, as some of my teachers used to say, that if you want the sum total of the greatest test of whether you, and don't worry about, first, don't worry about others, worry about yourself. أَنْجَانَ اللَّهُ وَغَفَرْ لَنَا وَعَفَى عَنَّا. Whether, when Allah tells you this remarkable injunctive, revealing statement that the recompense of goodness can only be goodness. Ask yourself in all matters of your life, do you see goodness and value it when you have it? Some of us cannot go to the bathroom without great pain. Do you see goodness when you are able to go to the bathroom without pain? Some of us cannot digest the most simple of foods. When you are able to digest the most simple of foods, you see goodness. Some of us cannot pay the electricity bill or send their children to school. Do you see the goodness when you are able to pay the bills? That is something more people are attuned to. Then with everything else, walking, laughing, even the ability to cry is the ability to release pent up emotion is ihsan. And do you then answer that goodness by your Lord with goodness, with other ihsan? And even tell you this, for those who are children, can you see the goodness that your parents have given you, and do you answer that goodness with goodness, or do you answer it with argument and ripeness and entitlement? And those who are parents, do you see the goodness in what your children are, and answer that goodness with goodness, with your obligation as a parent to be enlightened, to be sensitive, to be caring, to be able to communicate and understand and be a source and guide of beauty and truth to your own child? وَمَا جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. اللهم اعف عنا، اللهم اغفر لنا، اللهم اهدنا، اللهم أنر بصيرتنا يا الله، اللهم أنر قلوبنا يا الله، اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه، وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم يا علي عظيم اهدنا واهدي أمة الإسلام أجمعين، وارفع عنا العسر واليسر، واغفر لنا واشف مرضانا، واستغفر الله وأقم الصلاة.